Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that leads in today's edition, Tuesday 27th May 2025, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. Leader Barbados Labour Party Mia Mottley will lead the party into a third general election. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. Prime Minister Mia Mottley will be leading the Barbados Labour Party into the next general elections. She made the announcement to the country Sunday night, erasing her previous stated indication that she would not be returning for a third term. The Prime Minister shared the news while addressing a rally to celebrate the victory of Member of Parliament and Minister of Education and Transformation Chad Blackman, who won last Wednesday's by-election in St. James North. It was also to commemorate her government's 7th anniversary in office at St. Albans Corner. Prime Minister Mottley, who has led a team that pulled Barbados out of an economic crisis, says external and local challenges are the reasons she decided to stay with Barbadians. She says there is no doubt that the water is still choppy due to the geopolitical climate. This is why she believes leading her government into a third general election is no longer a personal decision, but rather one of duty.
Since being voted into office on May 24, 2018, the Barbados Labour Party has taken the economy out of life support, stabilized the dollar, bought garbage trucks, increased the bus fleet, significantly reduced the unemployment rate, gave public sector workers 3 salary increases, and guided the country through 2 International Monetary Fund programs. Prime Minister Mottley says more than anything else, government give Barbadians stability and trust.
That fiscal responsibility is not simply about arithmetic and figures. It is about fairness. It is what has allowed us to be able to take people who are not getting the reverse tax credit and give it to them up to $25,000 a month. People before were getting it at half that amount. It has allowed us to be able to take people earning between $2,000 a month roughly and just under $3,000 a month. And since 2019, every cent in income tax you have paid, your government has given it back to you.
Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Restaurant, says the Barbados Labour Party has turned the fortunes of the country from disaster to opportunity.
We are seeing new levels of investment in this country. We are seeing jobs being created in this country. We are seeing incomes rising in this country, which is what a responsible government should do.
Minister of Labour, Social Security and the Third Sector, Colin Jordan, says the labour sector has been transformed since his government came to office in 2018.
For the first time in Barbados' history, a national minimum wage for the people, for the workers of this country. For the first time, legislation that holds companies, businesses that receive concessions from government, holds them accountable, says to them, if the taxpayers of this country are allowing you concessions, then you must treat your workers in a particular way.
And the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Transport and Works, Santia Bradshaw, says government has been effectively planning the layout of the country's infrastructure.
So we don't have time to count roads. You will never hear me counting roads. I've told you we did 70 or so roads last year on the mill and pave. We are working working in the Scotland district, and we are starting to see the transformation of our rural communities that have been neglected for the last decade prior to us coming to office.
Several other members of parliament were on the motorcade and delivered speeches at the rally. Onesta Henry, CBC News.
In the meantime, Prime Minister Mottley says a balance must be struck in the regulation of artificial intelligence, stressing that it will be a major issue for CARICOM going forward. The Barbados leader, who currently serves as chairman of CARICOM, was speaking at the opening of the 13th Republican Parliament in Port of Spain. The matter was raised by Trinidad and Tobago's President Christine Kangaloo, who urged the Parliament to act swiftly on AI legislation, noting the rare opportunity to lead the region in proactive technology regulations. President Kangaloo welcomed the establishment of a Ministry of Public Administration and Artificial Intelligence by the new government, but cautioned that it must be followed by laws to mitigate future risks. Prime Minister Mottley also noted that several critical issues were addressed in the President's speech. She praised the Trinidad and Tobago's leadership as inspiring for young girls, highlighting that the country's President, Prime Minister and opposition leader are all women.
And how we strike the balance between regulation and allowing it to flourish is going to be critical. On the other issues with respect to ensuring that we can make lives easier for the families of persons who have to take care of people with Alzheimer's, that is also critical. Ensuring that we do a better deal for the disabled persons. In my own country, we have just, we had a commission on persons with disabilities, and it recommended a range of actions. We just passed legislation. We're in the midst of trying to ensure that our physical infrastructure is adaptive. We introduced new payments for persons from the National Insurance Scheme for persons with disabilities. So these things are important to our citizens across the region. I think that it's a good thing for the young girls to see that they can aspire to all offices, whether political, whether within the context of other areas of endeavor. It's an empowering experience for them to see that it is possible.
Barbados' ambassador to CARICOM, David Cummins-Young, not only views the Second African Union and Caribbean Community Summit slated for Ethiopia as important, but he wants it to be used to advance linkages between the two regions. The recommendations were put forward as he participated in a webinar part of the African Dialogue series. It focused on the sub-theme Building the Future, healing the reparations towards socio-economic justice for Africans and the people of African descent. The AU CARICOM Summit is scheduled to take place on September 7th, 2025 in Ethiopia. The theme for 2025 is Justice for Africans and the People of African Descent through Reparations.
This important summit must be used to do several things. First of all, construct AU CARICOM institutional linkages and joint mechanisms for geopolitical agenda setting and coordination, and for conflict resolution and peacemaking. Let us come together to collectively solve our crises from the Congo to Sudan to Haiti, and to engineer rapprochement between the Sahel states and the mainstream of African integration.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick,
in association with our friends at
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Over now to Trinidad and Tobago, where the Prime Minister there has defended her government's choice for Speaker of the House of Representatives, Jagdeo Singh, saying he is legally qualified and committed to public service. Her comments come following the opening of the 13th Republican Parliament. TTT's Sunil Lala has more.
Speaking to reporters outside of the Red House on Friday evening, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar addressed questions about one of the government's first major appointments, the new Speaker of the House, Jagdeo Singh.
He's a very strong person. He's very learned in law, and on that basis, I think he'd make an excellent speaker. He's committed to helping people. He's done it in his practice, so that's what we're about.
The Prime Minister also dismissed concerns about the Speaker of the Lower House when asked about his legal history, including charges that were later dismissed.
Yeah, it was overturned. Therefore, our justice system allows us to have justice. You're innocent until proven guilty, and he remains innocent. He has never been proven guilty. All the charges were thrown away.
And on the selection of the Vice President of the Senate, Kenya Charles.
Kenya is a very, very strong person. I think she will do a great job up there. She has also been the chair of the women's arm of my party, and she's been with us a long time, so I know her well, and I think she'll do a great job in the Senate.
Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar was also critical of the opposition's decision to return former ministers to the Senate.
I'm sure they are very happy. It points to me where the opposition is now going. They're bringing back persons who have been rejected. Of course, that's okay to bring back into the Senate legally, but they were there for 9 years, and all the policies and programs they presided over did not help the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So being in the Senate, I can't see that giving them and their party any great lift. In other words, it is clear that the 1% is still in charge. When you look at some of the members of the PNM Senators' bench.
And the Prime Minister also expressed hope for a more respectful and collaborative parliamentary environment.
We look forward to collaboration, but in our system of Westminster-style politics, sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. So we look forward to collaboration where it is necessary and where they also see it in the best interests of the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
When asked about the absence of Prakash Ramada from the Senate or any ministerial role, the Prime Minister said those are party matters to be dealt with at the party level. She did, however, confirm that former Senator Jayanti Lakshmi Dayal would have a role in the administration. Sonolala, TTT News.
Bahamas' Prime Minister Philip Davis fields questions on whether there will be an early election. More in this ZNS News item.
Well, the Prime Minister also today sought to put to rest growing speculation of an early general election, making it clear that Bahamians will not be heading to the polls anytime soon. As to what that soon looks like, the Prime Minister would only say this.
I'm hearing the talk myself. I'm hearing the talk of early election. But we have a lot of work to do, and we are executing our work. And I have still a number of things to get started before I call an election. And once they get started and on the way, then you can say election is imminent, but it's not imminent now.
So you will do it when the time is
that's in when the election we call is here in my heart.
Venezuela's ruling Socialist Party has held a commanding majority in the National Assembly in Sunday's elections, winning nearly 83% of votes according to the Electoral Authority. The contest was marked by deep division among the parties opposed to the government of President Nicolas Maduro. Al Jazeera's Teresa Bo reports.
Venezuelans headed to the polls on Sunday to elect governors and members of the National Assembly in an election the opposition called a sham. But President Nicolas Maduro said the government dismantled a network whose aim was to sabotage the elections.
We did it. We managed to hold the election without incidents and managed to defeat the violence that terrorists had prepared for the country. The violent ones, the fascists.
But members of the opposition say those detained during the government raids were human rights activists, journalists, and members of the opposition, including Juan Pablo Guanipa, a close ally of opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, who boycotted the elections. Machado said on Sunday the majority of the Venezuelans disobeyed the government and did not vote.
Today, the country crushed them once again. With intelligence and acting with our strategy, we revealed this great farce. People did what they feared, they massively disobeyed them. A conscientious and brave disobedience.
The government also elected a governor and 8 members of the National Assembly to represent the Essequibo region, an area Venezuela claims, but is controlled by Guyana. In the past years, Venezuela has made efforts to assert control over this oil-rich area, creating tension with its South American neighbor that considers Venezuela's claims a threat. The dispute is now before the International Court of Justice.
The election has a historical and symbolic meaning that we as Venezuelans have to applaud because it ratifies the democratic and peaceful position of Venezuela and ratifies the historic position we have over the Essequibo.
The election allowed the ruling party to celebrate what it considers a victory. But for many in the country, it was a farce. Teresa Wu, Al Jazeera.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.